Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. I'm Drury, joined by Clarkey. We're brought to you, as always, by our friends at Coolbet Canada, the Listowel Squash Courts, Listowel Vision Care, See the Game, and, of course, our friends at Hanover Raceway. Don't miss all the excitement of live harness racing every Saturday starting June 4th to September 17th. Post time is always 1:30 p.m. Bring the family and have a great time enjoying the sights and sounds. We bet you'll love it. Visit them at hanoverraceway.com for details on their upcoming events. And we are joined this week by a gentleman who knows all of the details of those upcoming events, the general manager, and of course, the longtime voice of the Guelph Storm for 20 years now, my friend, Mr. Steve Fitzsimmons. Fitzy, how are you, brother?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you again. We haven't had as many visits lately.
Yeah, it's. I feel like I haven't seen you in like 3 months. We were calling a hockey tournament a weekend ago, so it's kind of funny. But
Drury, where are you today? You've changed sets. What's happening here?
Dude, I'm in my living room. I got Thursday night baseball on here, so I just I'm side glancing, keeping track of my fantasy team. You know, laying some bets with our friends at Coolbet. I got a couple overs here, so I'm peeking. I'm peeking over.
Got it.
Yes. Mr. Fitzsimmons, the Hanover Raceway. We are, as we record this, 2 weekends away from opening day. I know you guys got a ton of stuff, a lot of events. You've already got a few press releases out there. Some drivers, some very reputable drivers are going to be celebrated. Of course, in July, there's going to be another edition, the second annual Women's Driving Championship. Run us through some of the great, exciting stuff that people can expect at the racetrack.
So to be fair, guys, we wanted to make sure that we were going to be able to have, a lot of events with a lot of people. So we went a little easy with our early schedule, thinking that, if there was a situation with the pandemic that, we would, maybe things would get better a little bit later on. But as it turns out, it looks like, that's not going to be any issue at all. So, the big thing, we're opening June 4th. You don't have to register. You don't have to adhere to any sort of health regulations that we've had to in the past with mass social distancing, et cetera. You just come and enjoy the races. And, I think it was a frustration for a lot of fans last year where they had to pre-register through our website, et cetera. I think some technologically challenged folks had trouble, being able to stream it and to bet through the HBI bet portal. So that's all over with. I mean, you can do that, but you can certainly watch it from home and you can certainly bet through HBI. But you can come now and enjoy it in person and essentially get back to the normalcy from 2019, roughly.
And thank goodness for that, right? Like, it's such a great racetrack. I've been up there a couple times, and just how close you are to the track, it's really amazing how you can just be right there, basically rail side.
Yeah, it is as close as you can get without being one of the drivers, really. You can literally pretty well pet a horse going by you at certain points. Certainly when they come back to the winter circle, you can get really close. And some of the drivers, obviously deliberately bring horses over to get really close to the public, which is great. It's probably as close as you're ever going to get to that. So it's a great atmosphere, and getting that close with the drivers and horses. The public just loves that, and we're hoping that we're going to get back to those crowds that we're used to, and maybe even bigger than that, and get back to the atmosphere we're all craving for.
It's such a great place to go and watch horse racing. I mean, I went out last year. Kate and I came out and took in the first annual Women's Driving Championship. Amongst a number of great events that you've got on the calendar, let's start there. I mean, it was a big success last year, hoping for an even bigger event where, like you said, Fitzy, more people are going to be able to come and take it in. I was there last year and it was a great day.
Yeah, so that's on July 16th. We had a partnership with Dresden Raceway where we had it over a weekend. We had 5 races for all female drivers at Hanover on the Saturday, and then 5 at Dresden on the Sunday. And that was the championship here, and points through their finishes. It was a charity event for cervical cancer and for Harness the Hope, a breast cancer charity. This year it'll be for Harness the Hope, the breast cancer charity. And we've been able to expand it to 5 racetracks: Grand River Raceway in Elora, Leamington Raceway, and the final will be held at the Raceway at Western Fair in London. So that's fantastic. It's going to give them some more opportunities to drive. It's going to be a bigger footprint for charity. And quite frankly, our business doesn't provide those opportunities that are deserved by the top women drivers in the province. And we wanted to provide a platform for them. We wanted to provide a showcase for that product. We think there's some discrimination in our business, in a fairly male-dominated business, that if you look at the thoroughbred side of racing, there's lots of women jockeys that are very successful and are doing really well and are at the top of the sport. On the harness racing side, there isn't any. There's a few, driving, at the B tracks like ourselves off and on. And we wanted to be part of the solution to equity and equality in our sport. And, I think it was extraordinarily well received last year. I think we found an audience for our product. It bet a bunch above the season average, which, the naysayers were telling me it's not something people are going to bet. We found exactly the opposite, actually. People bet it wholeheartedly, and they liked the product. And quite frankly, the ladies put on a show. There was no holds barred, I can tell you that. Like, no favors. Where, on a typical day, you might see somebody let a horse in front of them. If there's a little bit of room, well, okay, we'll let you have a hole to get in there. And next time, maybe when I'm driving a different horse, that driver will let me in as a courtesy. But there was no holds barred, which is the way racing really should be, to be frank. And there was none of that. You're parked out, and you better find a seat, if you can. But to be able to grow it to 5 racetracks, I think, is a really positive step. And ultimately, the goal would be to have a circuit bigger than that. Even there's 13 Ontario racetracks. We'd like to get very close to all of them, where this would be a stop each racetrack once a year. And we're heading in the right direction in just year 2. And the things that we did for charity last year in the middle of a pandemic, Hanover Raceway raised $6,200. Dresden raised about $5,000. We're looking to be around 25 to 30,000 between them all this year, and I think we will. And at the end of the day, Natasha Day won the driving championship last year, and it really helped her. She got some spotlight, and I thought she got some more driving opportunities from people that maybe previously hadn't given her a chance from winning that. And that's what it's all about as well, is that spotlight that she shone in. It gave her some additional opportunities that were earned and deserved. So yeah, we're excited about it. It all kicks off on July 16th. We're the first stop, and then it goes on all the way into October at the Raceway at Western Fair is the final on October 14th.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, more than doubled the amount of tracks from year 1, which is great. And I know you were a big proponent of spearheading this, Fitzy, so I commend you for that. Also on tap, you've got a couple of days that you've already had releases out about. Of course, Bob McClure Day is going to happen. And Trevor Henry, who's from my neck of the woods. Well, should I say our neck of the woods, Fitzy? We're both Arthur boys. He's going to be honored, as well as a pretty famous horse that won the North America Cup last year.
Absolutely. I mean, we really have a power-packed July. So July 9th, Bob McClure Day. He is actually our reigning driver of the year, which is funny because, he's obviously a hugely successful driver at the Woodbine Mohawk Park circuit and internationally as well. He won the world's biggest harness race in 2019, the Hamiltonian. And he did something kind of funny. He started at Hanover. He was racing with his dad at Hanover as a kid and started his driving career at Hanover and some of the other B tracks, but never actually won our championship. And then drove sort of limited last year, but drove our Horse of the Year, Old Buck, and also the winner of the Balanced Image race, Seacan. Those horses combined for 7 wins for him. And, in limited, he actually had the most wins, even though he had far fewer starts than a lot of other drivers. So he ends up winning the world's biggest harness race. And ends up getting his driving championship at Hanover after that, which is the reverse of what most people would have accomplished, funny enough. So, but he means a lot to our fans, and we wanted to celebrate his accomplishments, and we wanted to do something for charity. And, that's going to be a big component of that. Roots Gray Mentorship, which is mentoring young people, supporting young people with a mentor. A little bit like Big Brothers Big Sisters, with not the same name, but similar type of organization to that. And so we wanted to support them, and Bob was more than happy to to be part of that. And so we're gonna have a silent auction, and Bob's gonna be there signing autographs and doing meet and greets with people, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I think it's gonna give people a chance to congratulate Bob on all his success, which, I mean, the last couple of years we haven't been able to meet with people really. So, Bob winning the Hamiltonian, I think a lot of fans really haven't had a chance to catch up with him since. And I think they're going to be really happy to see him. And then on July 23rd, the Women's Driving Championship on the 16th. And then on July 23rd, we have Trevor Henry Day with a special guest, the North America Cup current champion, Desperate Man, will be in the house for you to come and meet, get photos with, get a picture with the North America Cup trophy. He won that, which is Canada's biggest race last year. He was actually Canada's Horse of the Year. But Trevor Henry, was a grinder on all of the B-track circuits, including Hanover, for many, many years, and won our driving championship 10 times, incredibly 10 times in our 58-year history. And quite frankly, has won the most races in the history of Hanover Raceway as a driver. But of course, 5, 6, 7 years ago, went on to the Woodbine Mohawk Park circuit, has become one of the best drivers in the country, won a lot of big races, including the North American Cup. So we've had this idea to have Trevor Henry Day for a couple of years, but we wanted to do it with people. So, a lot of people we want, and he's incredibly popular. It's his hometown track. It's his favorite track. Same for Bob. It's his favorite track as well. And we wanted people to be part of that. And so what was the point of doing it with 300 to 500 people? We want 1,500 people, 2,000 people, and to have a very successful, fun-filled day. So Trevor will be here signing autographs, talking to people. He will drive in the cart as well. And it's the same day that we have the eliminations for our Dream of Glory race. And Desperate Man, the Horse of the Year in the country, who made $750,000 last year, is going to lead the post parade with Trevor driving him for our Dream of Glory eliminations horses. So the top horse in the country is leading out the post parade for our biggest race, which is sort of apropos. They're both Ontario breds. Our races for Ontario breds. He's an Ontario bred horse that was the top horse in the country. So I think there's a lot of synergy there. And that charity is for Canadian Tire Jumpstart. We're going to again do lots of things. There'll be a Trevor Henry t-shirt that you can get signed and purchase for Canadian Tire Jumpstart, silent auction, and quite frankly, the Chakins, who own Desperate Man, along with the Davies family from Arthur, have been extraordinarily amazing partners already. When we started thinking about this idea, of course, Trevor hadn't won with Desperate Man at that point. So if there's one sort of silver lining to not being able to do it the last couple of years, it's to be able to have Desperate Man as part of it, having won last September. So him being a part of it, we reached out to the family that owns them, and they were more than happy to be part of this. They're very good friends with Trevor, and they've raced horses at Hanover in the past and even last year a little bit. So they thought this was a great initiative, and they're happy to support it. And quite frankly, they've been gathering up silent auction prizes for me with the connections that they have. So they're pretty enthusiastic about it. It's going to be a fun day. And, I think that foot bid for charity is something that matters a lot to us, and it matters to both Bob and Trevor, and they want to give back and to a place that's meant a lot to them and to the fans that have meant a lot to them. So I think that's going to be some pretty cool synergies. I wouldn't be surprised if it's some of the biggest days that we have in our history. And then, of course, on June or July 30th, the next week, we have that Dream of Glory final, which is our biggest race of the year, for $60,000. Now that moves to the evening, which has been traditionally where we had it, at a 6:15 post time. And the reason for that, of course, for longtime Dream of Glory fans, is that we have a significant fireworks display after the races. It draws our biggest crowds of the year in the history of the place, really. We've seen 3,000 and 4,000 people surrounding the place, very close up together, watching the fireworks and supporting our product. It's been some of our biggest days in the history of the place. So, that July is going to be incredible to have back-to-back incredible events. So we're really looking forward to that. But of course, our opening day is June 4th. We have a cool partnership that I'd like to tell you about. Is we're actually we've brewed a beer with McLean's Ales as our partner, and we're calling the beer Stretch Drive, which will have a custom-made Hanover Raceway can, which is very unique. And I think people will like this beer. And
you piqued my interest.
It's debuting on June 4th. You may have to come up, Drury.
Hey, man, I'm around. I'm shifting in my seat a little here. I'd say, whoa, custom beer.
Yeah,
exactly. Hey, Fitzy, I just wanted to go back to July for a second. And on that 16th, I just quickly went through my calendar, Ryan. I think I'm off that weekend from Larry Hudson's. So maybe we need to go up for the Women's Driving Championship on that Saturday. And well, how many races do you think will be on the card that day?
There'll be 10, and 5 of them will be for the ladies to drive in. Yeah.
Perfect. Incredible. So I was just thinking, just because I like to put people on the spot, but maybe there's like one race we could do, like an Instigating with Clarkey and Drury race, and we go down for the winner's circle after and get a picture taken and all that. Just keep that in mind when you're scheduling things out.
Okay, we can probably figure something out.
I'm sure that the winner of that race will be thrilled to receive an award from us. Yeah,
exactly. But no, we need to get up there on that day and see if we can do a show up there.
Yeah.
So producer Adam and Ryan and I and Fitzy, we gotta come that day. So let's mark it in our calendars.
Sounds like a plan.
16th. Yeah, I'm down for that. It's incredible. It's going to be a packed July, but it's going to be a packed racing season again.
Mr. Drury, as being an Arthur native, you have to come on the 23rd to celebrate Mr. Henry as well.
I should. Yeah. I mean, my dad did paint his house back in the day.
Oh, there you go.
It's, you know, the Arthur connection. It's not a big town. So, I actually interviewed him after he won the North America Cup with Desperate Man. And I mean, he's about as down to earth as it gets, right?
I've known him for 30 something years, and he hasn't changed one bit with all his success and fame and you know, the earnings that he's made. He's still the same guy I knew when he was 17 years old, which is a credit to him. You know, just a down to earth family guy. And
are you the same guy, Fitzy?
I think I am. Yeah. I haven't had as near as much success as Trevor Henry, but sure.
No, come on now. The voice of the Guelph Storm, man. Like, let's get serious here. Called 3 championships. Let's get real. Yeah, It's going to be great. Visit hanoverraceway.com. The full schedule is on there. There's a ton of great events. I mean, that July in particular is going to, I might be there every weekend. You said
I might have to hire you as a host or something too. You never know.
There you go.
Hey, I'm free. I'm around.
And down the stretch they come. Can you do that? Yeah. I'm sure you have a track announcer. I'm not trying to steal this job.
Yeah, I'm not going to take
actually the legend Rick Ryer. Actually, the legend Rick Ryer is our track announcer, but somebody that Ryan Drury knows very well, and you might know as well, Mark McKelvey, the voice of the Onside Attack, is our backup announcer. And he got a couple opportunities last year. He comes and actually does some commentary between races as well with us. So we have a lot of fun working with Mr. McKelvey, both in horse racing and hockey.
Mark is one of my favorite people in broadcasting. So yeah, that if he's there, I gotta be there.
Oh, there you go. We'll pair you up, and you can have a good chat about horse racing.
Yeah. How far does your interest go back in harness racing?
It goes pretty far. So my parents. They lived in the city at first. I was born in Cambridge, but my dad always dreamed of having a farm, and he bought a 75-acre farm when I was about 10, just north of Arthur, between Arthur and Tibbydale. And he built a half-mile racetrack on it and got into horse racing with 1 or 2 kind of thing on the weekends, not as his regular job, obviously. So we raced at, Elmira, which doesn't exist anymore, Orangeville, that doesn't exist anymore, and Hanover. Those were the 3 tracks. And so my favorite was always Hanover, and I used to groom with my dad and look after the horse with them here and on the other tracks. And ironically, 35 years later, here I am as a general manager of the racetrack that I loved so much as a kid. So it's a real thrill for me to have a passion for this business and to see it succeed. And it's a great racetrack, and it means a great deal to me. And I'm just thrilled to be part of it.
When I was at the Fan, we used to do a fan night at Woodbine every once in a while. And I remember going there once, and I used to talk to Frank Loisel a lot, the announcer there. And I was up in his booth watching him do a race. And it's quite amazing what they do up there. I mean, calling a hockey game is one thing, but that is a skill in itself, isn't it?
It really is. And, I tried to call some of our qualifiers, which are races essentially that are after the races there where horses have to reach a time standard, and, the fans don't really stay around for it. It's horse people, but my eyesight isn't good enough for that anymore. So I was stumbling and bumbling around. I won't be the track announcer anytime soon, I can tell you that. even with my broadcasting experience, it's not going to happen. But yeah, it is a real skill, and there's just a cadence and a way to call it that is a real talent. And I think play-by-play, to agree, it is similar to that in a way. And there's only certain people that are able to do it with the quality that you want to see. But yeah, I mean, it really is a skill, and Rick does it extraordinarily well. We're really lucky that he's a Hanover guy, but he's actually one of the best track announcers in the country. So we're really lucky to have him, and we know that. And, I won't be replacing him anytime soon, I can tell you.
I tell you what, there's one guy who we were in contact with at the Fan all the time with Woodbine, and really, in my mind, changed the perception of racing, and that was Glenn Crowder. Actually, Wally Crowder, if you remember from CFRB, the morning man for, 50 years there. But Glenn Crowder, who I still talk to, I think he's doing some stuff with some skiing organization now, but he really seemed to put a stamp on it and made it fun for the media to go. The best golf tournament was always the Woodbine golf tournament every year. The prize table was amazing. I think they did a trip to the Little Brown Jug. It was just amazing. And he really turned it around in my mind from an outsider, not knowing what happened inside. Maybe he was just the guy who made it all happen after the ideas, but boy, oh boy, it seemed to really take off when he got there.
I know his work from many years ago, and he was phenomenal. He was a great marketer. Yeah. So well spoken. I think he just explained it in a way that people could understand what the business was about, and explain how enjoyable it can be and how much fun it is to be, around the horses in that atmosphere, and how talented the drivers are. So I agree with you. He was a trailblazer that did a great job promoting our sport.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely agree. Well, you're pretty damn good at it yourself there, Fitzy. So we're excited to get the show out there, and we absolutely will do that this year. And you'll see me creeping around in the betting booth.
Creeping around.
I'll be creeping around, slipping a few 20s down in the back. Hey, I won some money at the Women's Driving Championship last year. You can send my personal thanks to Natasha Day for helping me cash.
How did you pick the winners there, Ryan? I'm just curious.
You know what, man? I listened to the great panel they had, and of course, our friend Paul, of course, Katie Hillier, who does great work at the track. She was hosting that day, and I just listened to the experts. I don't know anything about horse racing, so I just listened to the picks.
Yeah. And I just pick names. I just like names, right?
Well, the names, of course.
That's all I go with. I just have fun doing it, though. Right?
Oh, it's so much fun.
You brought up Katie Hillier's name, and she's done a phenomenal job for us the last 2.5 years, and of course was on our broadcast last year, did great, and has opened eyes around the industry about how talented she is. She doesn't come from a horse racing family, but she is from Hanover, and has went to the track with her parents as a kid. But she's come so far and doing some phenomenal work, and she was literally on Mohawk's broadcast on International Women's Day, in basically her second year on broadcasting. So it's been fun to work with her, and she's going to be back this year. I'm looking forward to working with her again.
Yeah, I wonder who gave her some tips there. I don't know. Maybe a guy up there. I'm not sure. Go ahead, Clarkey.
I was just going to ask him. I know you're a big hockey fan. Who do you think is the favorite right now to win the Stanley Cup?
Boy, can you really pick against what the Tampa Bay Lightning have done? I wouldn't have in my hockey bracket. They're destroying it completely, but they actually won it for me last year, so I can't be too mad. I just thought that them and the Leafs would beat each other up to the point where there might not be much left of the team getting through, and it's been totally not that way as we've seen. Vasilevsky, after a really ordinary regular season, has been in a different world, and back to the difference maker we all know him to be. And of course, Kucherov at playoff time raises his game, and value signing like Corey Perry for heaven's sake. We know Corey Perry. He does certain things to help teams win, and I know the Leafs had sniffed around with Corey Perry. They should have signed him for that cheap money, because certainly paying dividends for Tampa. But how do you go against them right now? I don't know if they'll win it, but they're looking every bit the part of a 2-time Stanley Cup champ.
They certainly are, for sure. And I get people say, do you feel any better? Because the Leafs, as a big Leaf fan, do you feel any better that they, that they handled Florida so easily after going 7 games to Leafs? I don't feel any better, but what I do feel is the Leafs are this close. I really believe they are. And I mean, time will tell. They may lose in the next round, but I really think the Leafs are close. They got to get over the hump. Ryan and I've talked about it many times, but how do you think the Leafs would get over the hump? What do they have to do?
That's a really good question. I wish we do. I wish Kyle Dubas could figure it out as well. But I mean, I think some of the depth players didn't really come through for the Stars. For once, I mean, last year, I mean, we know the whole spiel from last year with underperforming Marner and Tavares getting hurt, blah blah blah. But I mean, this year those guys performed for them, and I think it was some of the depth players that didn't do much for them on the third and fourth lines. And in a series where third and fourth liners for Tampa were doing well, including Corey Perry as an example, it just made that ounce of difference to make the difference between losing by one goal or winning by a goal. It was the closest mark, and of course Vasilevsky, really was stellar in the last number of games. He wasn't that good early, but and you know what? I mean, I like Campbell. I think he's a decent NHL goalie. I don't know if I'd put him in my top 10 or 12, but I definitely would put Vasilevsky in my top 3 or 4. Maybe sure. Number 1 if when he plays like he can, which he didn't do this year until the playoffs. He's probably the best goalie in the league. He's certainly playing like it right now, and he has in the past. I think that was the difference really between those things. And Clarkey, you're right. I mean, so if you're the Leafs, what do you do? Because this is a very stout team that you're up against, and you lost again, and another first round exit. But do you throw out the baby for the bathwater type of thing? Like, you're going to have to make some changes for sure, and they will. But I think some of the depth players are maybe where the deck chairs need to change a little bit, and I think they have to make a really serious decision on: is Jack Campbell the guy for us, or do we dip into finding an elite goaltender that's going to take us there? Although I don't know who that is really, that's available. And I mean, look at Colorado as an example. They have that same sort of problem that they got left behind and had to make a trade with the Coyotes to get the best goalie they could. And, is he looking elite? I'm not so sure. But the Leafs, in my mind, are kind of in the same boat as Colorado on that, what do they do? And at what cost? And can they afford it too? Like, do you trade one of the big guys? If you do, I think the logical one is probably Nylander, because he's cheaper and he probably is worth more. Tavares is not going anywhere, let's be honest. And Marner, I don't think you can trade for what he's done. And Matthews is the best goal scorer in the league, with all due respect to Alex Ovechkin and Ryan's Washington Capitals. He's kind of proven it the last couple of years. But, so I don't know. Like, it's a real quandary for them. I'm hoping that there's some help coming from the farm for them. That the Marlies maybe have some solutions there. If Nick Robertson could work his way into the mix there, it certainly would help the salary cap a bit. If he was a reliable third liner or even better. And they're going to get a decent draft pick obviously this year, and then some other guys, just have to step up. I think obviously, they just made it an incredible value signing. Getting Mark to come back, but absolutely. At $800,000 is did anyone think he'd sign for less than 2.5, 3 anywhere? Like, I didn't see that happening.
Yeah. He obviously has
a great signing.
He obviously has quite a bit of belief in the group. And I mean, Fitzy, I'll toss something your way. I mean, we talked, you and I have been in a hockey pool together for a long time. Bit of a different thing when you're talking fantasy hockey, but we talk trades a lot. And we tossed something by the way of our guest last week, Jason Brooks, who of course, a pretty successful junior coach. And, I threw a scenario at him where, Anaheim is in a bit of a sticky place. They're still trying to rebuild. Getzlaf is gone. The aforementioned Perry's been gone for a couple years now. Is John Gibson on the table? Like, Is there a scenario where you can paint a picture where William Nylander and something is on the board for John Gibson, who Fitzy, you've watched him since junior when he was a stud for the Kitchener Rangers, and he's been a stud for Anaheim. I mean, I know people would just jump and look at his numbers last couple of years on a pretty trying Anaheim team. I don't know about you, Fitzy. I think he's one of the top 5 most talented goalies in the league. Like when John Gibson's healthy, this guy can steal games. And I don't think I've ever gotten myself to a place where I can say that about Jack Campbell. I like Jack. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a tremendous teammate. But when we're talking about goaltending, I want somebody who every now and again I can close my eyes and envision him making 2 or 3 stunners late in a third period. And John Gibson can. I don't know what your thoughts are on something like that. A Nylander, Gibson, who knows what else is a part of it type deal.
I think that's a trade that makes a lot of sense for both teams. The Anaheim is not in the window where John Gibson can really, help them win a Stanley Cup right now. They've got some time. They've got a lot of quality young players that maybe will lead them there. They could certainly take a goaltender that's, I agree with you. I think he's an elite goaltender. His numbers on paper don't show it, but I mean, his high danger chances are like off the charts.
Yeah.
Like the scoring chances that he deals with on a regular basis are as high as anyone in the league pretty well, and have been for a number of years. I don't even know off the top of my head what his save percentage was this year. It's probably, I'm going to guess something like 905, 906. But really, I think on an elite team, much like the Leafs or some other teams, he's probably a 925, 927 guy who, is going to be insulated by a better defense core. And, all due respect to Anaheim, who I thought played a lot better than that, certainly in the opening half. And they've got some lots of good quality young players. But I think that trade makes a lot of sense for both teams. And Nylander's obviously a bit younger. And, they need that scoring punch and leadership from a little bit older guy. With Getzlaf gone, I mean, Nylander can score a point a game for sure. He's making 6.7, which at a point a game is probably $2.5-3 million underpriced. Who would have thought? I mean, it was major criticized at the time when they signed that deal, but looking in retrospect, it actually turned out to be a good deal, as good as a $6.7 million player could be, I guess. But yeah, Gibson, I think, could be an answer. I really like that scenario. I don't know if Anaheim would be open to doing that, but and maybe they think that they need to keep Gibson to insulate that young defense and young team, to have that difference maker in goal that they know that they can make some mistakes in front of them. So I don't know what their sort of perspective is on that, but you know what? I think it totally makes sense for the Leafs 100%. And I don't know what Anaheim's thoughts would be on that, but I think that could make sense for them as well.
Yeah, if you had the sorry, go ahead, Ryan.
No, I'm just going to say John Gibson, the last 3 seasons with, Anaheim on the decline, never under 900, 904 this year, 319. But back when Anaheim was still, in contention and a solid team, 15 through 18, 19, 920, 924, 926, 917, with plenty of shutouts, a lot of saves. And this guy eats minutes too. Like, he's a big game goalie, and his high danger save percentage, he's actually 6th in the NHL over the last 4 seasons, 3 of which were not those high save percentage overall seasons. We're talking the last 3 years, 904, 903, 904. Despite those lower overall save percentage, he's actually 6th in high danger save percentage. This guy, he eats pucks. And I think that type of move, you're not going to trade any of the big 10+ million guys. William Nylander, I know that he's very talented. He is expendable. Like, and Fitzy,
you got to give to get, right?
Well, 100%, especially when you're talking about a guy like John Gibson. And this, Fitzy, like for a long time, my Capitals, I often compare, and I'm sure it bugs Clarkey, William Nylander is Alexander Semin. That's who he is. That's
painful, because I thought he was terrible.
Sorry. You thought Alexander Semin was terrible?
I did. Yeah. I thought he was a dog. Yeah. I know. I know. But I just thought he dogged it a lot.
But that's just the thing, though.
And I agree with you.
He wasn't terrible. He was unbelievably good, but his effort was so off the
exactly.
And when people,
he was great when he felt like playing.
And so was Nylander.
If he,
and that's right,
Alex Semin would score a hat trick, for fun with that wrist shot. For fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it'd be a stretch to say he might have been more skilled than Ovechkin.
Ovechkin said as much.
Yeah. I mean,
this guy, I don't know why everybody's ragging on this guy. He's better than me. Wow.
Yeah. But you're going to have to trade a guy like Nylander to fit his Gibson 6.4. He's making 6.4 over the next 5 years. So you better be darn sure too that he's your guy. But if you could maybe trade a defenseman in there too, like if they would take a Muzzin or something like that. He's got a big ticket, but
that might be tough.
Take Shattenkirk back and give him Muzzin. But I don't know. Who knows? Now let me ask you this. There's been a rumor out there that, not even a rumor, the question's being asked. Let's say this. Would you sign for a power play specialist at a league minimum $800,000?
I know what you're going to ask.
PK Subban.
You know what? It's an interesting
800. 800. Is he better than Justin Hall?
I think he is. I think he's worth it. I think there's some cachet to,
and he's made a lot of money.
He's made a lot of money. It's not about
he's from Toronto. So
and I mean, he played with Tavares all the way up, right? So
they go way back.
I suspect that that conversation is going to happen. I mean, is he, like, you make a great point, Clarkey, is he really worse than Justin Hall? I wouldn't think so. Even in his declining state of not that $10 million player anymore. You know what? On limited minutes, if he's your sixth defenseman on the power play, your second power play, I don't see how you can really go too far wrong with them, really.
Well, and honestly, you fooled me, Clarkey. I thought you were going to ask about Joe Thornton. So,
no, Joe.
I thought you were going. Well, you said power. You said power play, and I was like, Joe Thornton. And they were talking about that.
Though.
Been there, done that. With him.
Well, that's why I started shaking my head, right?
Yeah.
You fooled me here.
Sorry.
See, I like PK, and honestly, and this is the thing, not to compare the two, but just follow my logic here. It's kind of what people have kind of reserved themselves to saying about Ovi in his old age. It's like, he doesn't move the same anymore, but the shot doesn't go away. Honestly, I think PK Subban right now has the best shot from the point of any Leafs defender.
I agree. And if you can get him, I think he's going to
uncork it.
I think he could be a Mark Giordano type guy who would take a hometown discount. I really do.
Even if it was $1 million.
Yeah, who cares?
Even if it's $1 million.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
I'd take PK on the Caps for $1 million.
Yeah.
I don't hate that. Fitzy, we've watched a lot of hockey. I agree with your Tampa assessment. I mean, Vasilevsky, I want to ask you, where does this Tampa team, both of you, I'd like you to answer. You've both seen a lot more hockey than I have. Where do they, but and there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm
okay. Thanks.
I'm reaching to your wisdom here.
There we go.
Okay. I want to know where they rank all time as a team, this current core and the surrounding pieces too. But we're talking Vazzy, Hedman, Cooch, Stammer, Killorn, Palat, Braden Point. I think that they might be top 5, maybe even top 3 all time based on what they're doing. They just tied the 70s Habs for third most consecutive series wins. They're not going to break. Will it? No, they're not breaking the Islanders record of 19, but they've won 10 straight. They're probably going to win the conference final. I don't love the Rangers or the Hurricanes again.
No, I think
Bazzi locked in. So now it's into 11, and that would give them sole, possession of third all time. Yeah. I think they're, without even stretching it all time, and I'll pass it to you first, Fitz. I think they're the best team in modern NHL history.
Yeah, I think that's a valid assessment, and comparing against different eras is really tough, as we all know. But
they didn't play 7-game series.
That's right, and exactly, and so that makes it difficult to compare, right? But I mean, the Islanders and the Edmonton Oilers and those Montreal Canadiens teams in the 70s to me are sort of 1, 2, 3 in whatever order you choose to put them in. And I think Tampa, if they can finish this off for their third championship, has to be somewhere just maybe underneath those teams. And I'm not sure who else you might put in the middle between them, but I think it's somewhere, you're probably not wrong, Ryan. They're probably the best in the modern era. And, where do they compare in the long term of the NHL's history? Probably fifth or sixth if they can. But for me, I qualify that with they have to finish off this cup to get their third, I think, be in that category. Yep. I get what you're saying about how many series they've won. They're just the playoffs were a bit different back in the day. And so for me, if they win this third one, I think I put them sort of right around the range where you're saying, Ryan, top 5, top 6, maybe.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And like what we also have to remember is their last 2 championships, people could say they're a little tainted. Like it was a weird year last year. So it might have a little fire burning inside them as well. And then the bubble year, the year before, right? So this is really the first normal championship. I'm not taking anything away from them. Don't get me wrong, but this is their first normal run.
Well,
and
last year they had full barns.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is it was a different year. The divisions were different. Everything was different last year with the Canadian division. It just was a different league last year.
Yeah. I
right?
understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying it could be burning a little fire in them. But the other thing is, this was their first sweep, I think. The Panthers was the first sweep they've had of all 10. So that's an amazing feat too. So
I think that might say more about the Panthers than the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Well, okay, they're the President Cup winners.
I know, it's shocking,
right?
They can't win a game. They can hardly score a goal.
I know.
It's insane.
Yeah. So how bad were the Leafs? How bad are the Leafs? I don't know. I always take a look back. But on the and let's just quickly touch on the West, as producer Adam is probably wanting us to do. Edmonton is surprising the you-know-what out of me. I didn't think they had it in them. Connor McDavid is taking it to
He's the best player in the world.
Level. It is unbelievable.
He's the best player in the world.
Doing. And after Colorado, you know what? I will admit, I haven't watched many games. I watched yesterday's. And if the Leafs blew a 3-0 lead, they would be getting, and maybe the Avalanche are, creamed in the media. But they did not look like they had any idea how to hold on to a lead late in that game yesterday. And then they lost in overtime. I think Tyler Bozak scored the winner for
it.
Me.
Was Tyler Bozak. Bad goal, too.
I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be shocked right now. I always thought Calgary was going to come out of the West. Now I'm thinking Edmonton might.
You know what? The shocking part to me is Mike Smith. I mean, he's somehow holding up. I don't know how he's holding up.
He let in a goal from the other end of the ice, and they still win. If that was the Leafs, they would have got 4 more by them. You know that would have happened.
You know what? It just speaks to Connor McDavid. He's an all-world level that we've seen literally with Gretzky and Lemieux and no one else, really. He's just by far the best player in the world, and he happens to have the second best player in the world, arguably, on his team. And I mean, quite frankly,
on one ankle.
Yeah, on one ankle and still producing like crazy. And you know what? They made an incredibly smart move by picking up Evander Kane for nickels on the dollar, who has 10 goals and
12 goals in 11 games, Fitzy.
Exactly. And you know what? He was a point a game in the regular season for them as well. He was a huge addition for minimal money on a team that was cap pushed. And quite frankly, you have to give their GM a lot of credit for that. And to stick with this goaltending duo of Smith and Koskinen, I thought was insane. But it just shows why I'm not an NHL GM, because it's somehow holding up so far. I mean, I thought Calgary was coming out of the West for sure. And they're looking like they might not be able to win another game.
And their stars are not like the tap has shut off. Gaudreau, Lindholm has been the best of them. Matthew Tkachuk is... Where is this guy? Like after the 9-6 game one, like where is this cat? You know
Brady's
what I mean?
Been more active.
Brady's got a new sponsorship and everything. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Honestly,
And Markstrom hasn't been great either.
Markstrom's been ordinary at best for sure.
Exactly.
And that's maybe leveled out. The terrible Mike Smith being slightly better than that. With all due respect to him, he's 39. He's playing in the NHL. Who am I to criticize him?
He's 41. He's 41, Fitzy.
Okay, 41, whatever.
He's 41. I mean, and
he's playing
Mike
like
Smith,
a 39-year-old now.
I have a chance.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a thing where, again, we talked about this in our pool chat the other day, Fitzy. Like you don't need the best goal. It's great to have the best goalie if the team has the puck the entire time and is constantly moving it down the ice. You just need a guy to be competent and stop the obvious ones. And like that floater went in on him the other night, but then late in that game, he made 2 really nice saves.
That's what I mean.
Right? And it's
Can you imagine?
well,
like
that's all that matters.
I like Jack Campbell, but we all know he's fragile. And if he had let the goal in like that, I'm sorry, but I don't like. He has troubles recovering.
Yeah,
and Mike Smith did.
Yeah, Mike Smith's been there before, right? I mean, we do forget a long time ago, a decade ago, he did drag a pretty below average Arizona Coyotes roster to a Western Conference final.
I remember saying to you at the beginning of the year, I wish they had gone after a guy like Mike Smith, the Leafs, instead of Peter Mrazek. But
it would have saved them some money, I would think.
They got to buy him out too, by the way.
What do you do? What do you do if you're Calgary though? Like, okay, so let's say they go down in flames. Pardon the pun. But
I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
So Johnny Hockey, I believe, is a UFA, is he not?
Yeah,
so,
and
I mean,
yes, he is.
how do you sign him for $10 million a year when you can't get out of the second round? I really struggle with how they're going to allocate their cap money with him.
How do they replace him?
I know.
Yeah,
like they have a real quandary there. It's going to be tough. I agree. I think Tampa's the favorite right now. I mean, Fitzy, we could talk hockey with you for 3 hours, but the show's only an hour long.
I know.
Exactly. We've gone by our 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah. Fitzy will have you on for 10, 15 minutes tonight. No chance. Not when we're on the mic together, buddy.
We should have known.
We should have known.
Fun,
you can tell Don I apologize. All right, my friend. We appreciate it. Again, visit HanoverRaceway.com.
See you on the 16th.
Yes, we will be there.
You got it, buddy.
Instigating is going to be at Hanover Raceway. Come say hi to us. July 16th, Women's Driving Championship. Visit HanoverRaceway.com, our great sponsor for all of the event news. Mr. Fitzsimmons, the general manager of that great Hanover Raceway. We appreciate you doing this, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed the chat.
All right, we'll take a quick break here. When we come back, unfortunately, we got to dig into some pretty nasty stuff in the sports world. We're going to have to talk about some unfortunate news to do with Hockey Canada today, and a media personality that a lot of sports fans in our area will be familiar with is under a lot of heat as well. We're going to talk about that next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, of course, brought to you by Coolbet Canada, the Listowel Squash Courts, Listowel Vision Care. See the game and our friends at Hanover Raceway. Thanks to their general manager, our buddy Steve Fitzsimmons, for jumping on here to chat about all the great events coming up this summer at the Raceway. Remember, go to HanoverRaceway.com to see their full schedule. The season starts June 4th. It runs to September 17th. All right, Clarkey, obviously some unfortunate stuff, like just gross stuff that we got to unfortunately dig into in the sports world. I know this isn't fun, but unfortunately this is, part of our world sometimes. This is the sports show. I want to start quickly just with what happened with Nazem Kadri in that series with St. Louis. I mean, the incident with Binnington and he gets knocked out of the game. I don't think that Naz was at fault there. I really don't. But man, the racist stuff, I think everybody, if you haven't, good for you for not having to see it. I think everybody pretty much in the sports world has seen the screen grabs that his wife shared. Yeah, guys, like, I don't know what else to say anymore. Like, this is not how we should be treating people, and athletes are people. At the end of the day, we like putting the gear on, and I got my Jays stuff on here, and we like enjoying sports and having fun, but this is way too far. Like, be critical of guys, say they're playing bad, whatever. To go after somebody's ethnicity, their sexual orientation, whatever it is just, I don't know how much more plainly we need to keep saying this to people in 2022. It's completely unacceptable. I feel like there needs to be laws put in place more.
Of course there does.
Some of the people have been outed on social media.
People hide behind social media. And
I'm tired of this. I really
it's never
feel
gonna end,
like
though. That's the problem. It's here for our time.
Yeah, like Elon honestly, do something about this. Like, people have got to start putting their identity on their social media.
100%.
Suffer severe repercussions. In the UK, they have laws. Like, a guy just got sentenced to 10 months in prison for racially abusing Marcus Rashford of Manchester United. We got to have the same thing here. This is gross.
Yeah,
this is gross.
It is
and that's all I have to say about that. It's gross. And Naz, I mean, I loved watching him play in junior. He was playing for the Knights around the time when I was in college, and I used to go all the time. He's such a fun player to watch. Seems like a tremendously great dude. Say what you want about him, as he's dirty and he's this and that on the ice. Yeah, whatever, fine. You can make those criticisms. This is so far beyond the cut line of this stuff. It's got to stop. All right, Clarkey, something else that is just, that you're a lot more familiar with, of course, based on your history in the industry. Yeah. A lot of people are familiar with a post that went viral from someone in the media world accusing another person in the media world who had a lot of power over her of some gross stuff, Clarkey.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone hasn't watched it, maybe we should just start with the video. I know producer Adam's got it ready. And Jennifer Valentine, who used to be on breakfast television, then moved to radio and was on Q107's morning show along with John Derringer. She doesn't mention John, but everyone knows that's who she's talking about in the video. And let's just start with a minute and a half here of what Jennifer's statement was just yesterday, Wednesday, I guess it was this week.
What would you do if a coworker screamed at you, belittled you, called you names, shut you out, brought you to tears, and then laughed when he told you to cry all you want, that he didn't feel one bit sorry for you, and let you know with utter conviction that if you went to HR, they would choose him? All this while 3 other men watched uncomfortably, yet supported him, because they knew what would happen to them if they went against him. You see, they had witnessed the same scenario many times before, but no one found it necessary to warn you about it before you accepted the job. Would you take a dream job working as a radio host if you knew you would be working with a co-host with accusations of prior abusive behavior towards women, and that you would also be exposed to 2, sometimes 3 men vaping in an enclosed room for 4 hours a day with no ventilation? Would you complain about it? Would you complain about it if you knew that women before you were moved from that room, eliminated because they spoke up? Would you complain knowing they would choose to support the man no matter what issues were brought forward, and it would put your job in jeopardy? Because history had proved that.
So you might wonder why we're talking about this. Well, John was a Q107 morning guy for years. And then when Bob Makowitz took over at the Fan, if I'm my memory isn't the best at times, but Bob Makowitz came into a Fan, and he was a radio program director and really a music program director for many years in radio. He came to the Fan as the program director, I want to say mid-90s, and a lot of people thought maybe the Fan was in jeopardy. Maybe they weren't going to be a sports radio station. They wanted to get more just male talk. And he brought John Derringer in as the morning show. And John was teamed up with Pat Marsden, a longtime media personality. He was on the Blue Jay broadcast for years. And John came in, and I can honestly say he was never abusive to me, but there was always stories going around how he would be yelling constantly at his producer, anyone who was in range. So that's the sports angle, the Fan angle. It's sad that it happens. I myself have been yelled at, not just yelled at, but belittled in a production TV truck. And to the point where I was called an effing idiot, and I wanted to quit the business, and I complained about it. Nothing was done, Ryan. Nothing was done. It just was at the time. I don't know, but the guy who was doing the yelling was a talented producer. We could never do anything to him. And John Derringer got ratings, made the radio stations a lot of money. So nothing was ever done. Nothing was ever done. I brought in a senior guy, an older guy, to produce the morning show after the morning show producer left. And he handled them okay. And a lot of things just slid off his back. He wasn't too concerned about getting yelled at. He was actually not even in the media. And I've been trying to get a hold of this person all day. And he said he would come on the show. Maybe he'll be on next week. But I hope things change in the media world and in the world in general. I think there's a shift for employees and employers. And it seems to me that employers are having more power all the time now. Sorry, employees are having more power now. And if they don't like a job, they leave. And it costs companies a lot of money to continually train new people. But that kind of behavior is just absolutely not, it should never be accepted. And it should be dealt with immediately in all instances. And it's not. And I don't know if it's going to change, but I'm so happy and proud of Jennifer for coming forward. Took a lot of guts to say what she did. And that whole statement, if you want to Google it, is about 13 minutes long. She goes on quite lengthy. A bit. We didn't play the whole thing today, but she goes on and, she talks about the guys vaping in the room and how she had to go on puffers and she complained about it and nobody did a thing. Like it even affected her health and no one did a thing because he was a successful disc jockey. Sad.
It is sad, Clarkey, and yeah, it sucks. And I think that, a lot of people, I think that society somewhat likes to, kind of goof on the millennial generation that I'm a part of. Oh, millennials are soft and this, that, and the other. And there is a shift where it's not about being soft. It's just like, we don't want to put up with this bullshit. Like it's really that simple. Like I've been in the media industry full time as a professional now for 7 years. And I've been able to work with a lot of great people, yourself included. I personally have not been screamed at. Thank God I work at a good place and my boss is the best boss of all time. Yeah. And I have never screamed at anybody either. Like I've never been in a situation where I felt like, what would really get my point across if I started cursing and swearing at somebody and calling them an idiot in front of everybody. It's
when I was done that, I was called that over headset with about 30 people on headset.
Yeah. That's
and the worst part is I was in the right when I did what I did.
Yeah, which is even more frustrating. But even beyond that, even if you're wrong, like, is the most productive way to make somebody feel like an absolute piece of garbage. And so it's not. Yeah, it's not about being soft or anything like that. It's actually the complete opposite. It's actually having the balls, if you will, to stand up at the fortitude. Is probably a better way for me to put it. To stand up and say, I'm not going to put up with this garbage, and I want to work in a place where I'm respected. It's not about not being open to criticism. Clarkey, you've given me a lot of very pointed, constructive criticism over the years. I'm a way better broadcaster for it, and I don't think I'd ever be doing OHL games with our buddy Fitzy without that. And not one time did you scream at me and tell me I was dumb. I'm young. I'm not young now. I'm 30 now. I'm young in relation to the business, but you never made me feel like I was stupid or something.
No.
What's the point of that?
And that's the thing too, right?
We're losing good people.
Right. We are. We absolutely are.
I'd rather work with a mediocre producer, whatever that even means, that was a super person to be around, than the greatest, most talented switchboard operator in the world who is a complete dink. That's sorry.
Sure. And I complained about it at the time. Nothing was done. I talked to a colleague who was basically on the same level as I was, and he had been in the TV industry a lot longer than I had, and he just looked at me and goes, "Yep, that's TV." And I go, "Well, that's BS, because it shouldn't be."
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't be.
And it shouldn't be any
it really
workplace. It's a stupid way to run any organization. It's dumb.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
So I'm glad she came forward.
Yeah, good on
I
Jen,
think we
honestly.
probably have seen the last of John Derringer on the airwaves. He'll probably start his own podcast, and we'll see what happens, and you'll get some sponsors. So people just remember who those sponsors are and who you might not want to support.
That's the other thing.
I won't.
Too.
I won't.
You know, in the name of ratings, it's, you know, I know it's a big thing and it's a business, and I understand, but there are a lot of good broadcasters out there, man. There are a lot of good broadcasters, and I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about generally, like across the board, that are grinding in lower and not on sparkly, you know, well-lit television positions that could step in and do a really good job and be good people to work around. We don't have to put up with these tyrannical, you know, all nonsense all the time morons that are going to belittle people and make everybody feel like crap all the time.
And believe me,
plenty of talent out there, guys.
We know who one of the most cankerous guys on the radio in Toronto sports radio history was, and that was Bob McCowan. I can honestly say Bob never called me an idiot. We had our discussions and maybe arguments, but
Bob
I never
was cantankerous on the air.
I know, and he could be a little hard to get along with off the air, but he never belittled me. He never made me feel like I was an effing idiot.
You still have a good relationship with him now, Clarkey.
Oh yeah, no, for sure I do. Right. So
like,
and I tell you what, he was a lot better on sports radio than John Derringer was. And nothing against John. He never did anything to me. Right. But if he did that to Jennifer Valentine,
but it's unacceptable.
It's totally unacceptable. Yeah.
You know, it's BS.
Yeah.
Another very sad thing that came out. We're recording this on Thursday, the 26th of May. You know, again, and I'll warn people who are sensitive to content surrounding sexual assault and thing. I can't even believe we're talking about this. Like it's just sad. But if you're sensitive to subject matter like that, this is probably something that you're going to want to stay away from. TSN had a story up today. A woman who alleged she was sexually assaulted by 8 CHL players, including members of Canada's 2017-18 World Junior team, has agreed to drop a lawsuit against the 8 players, Hockey Canada and the Canadian Hockey League, after reaching a settlement. And Rick Westhead, who, of course, is the best investigative journalist in the sports world, or really maybe the world in general, tweeted on top of that, a woman referred to in court documents claimed she was repeatedly assaulted by 8 players while intoxicated in a hotel room following a Hockey Canada Foundation gala and golf tournament in London in June of 2018. The story, again, you know, if you're sensitive to this stuff, I'd stay away from the story. The details are very graphic. They're extremely upsetting. And you know, we don't want to get into speculation here. The roster of that team is available online. It's been shared a lot since the story came out. There are 8 players, all of which are playing in the NHL, that probably should be in prison right now. And this is really unfortunate.
Let's set this
so
straight
gross.
Though.
Like,
we don't know if the 8 players who are in the National Hockey League were involved with this.
What do you mean? I'm just saying that on that roster.
Yes, agreed. But we don't know what players were involved.
No, we don't. And we never will because of this.
Right. So we don't know if the players who are in the NHL now were involved. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Because there are some guys on that roster that are not in the NHL.
Yeah.
But most of them are. And there's a good chance that, so I guess my point is there's a good chance that we're cheering for athletes potentially that did something that probably should have landed them in prison and not in the best hockey league in the world. And it's really gross. Like,
what's happening? What is happening?
I don't know.
I know that was in 2018, but like,
I can't believe
I don't like where we're going in this world sometimes.
It feels
like Texas this week. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, yeah, right? We got to close on that. You just feel powerless sometimes. And again, I know that people There are people, there are segments of the sports population that don't want to address topics like this. Sports, they want it to simply be an escape for them. And I understand that. I'm watching baseball right now. I love sports.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this stuff, it's attached, man. Because like I said, it's the same argument that we talked about with Kadri. They're people, and people do incredibly shitty things to other people. And guess what? Sometimes they're athletes and musicians and famous people.
Yeah.
Your neighbor, someone you know.
I know.
When we got to talk about, like, what are we doing if we're not going to address this stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's all I'll say. And I mean, you know, God love that woman. I don't even know what to say. And then, as far as Uvalde, Texas, I mean, I don't even want to say the line, and everybody knows the line that, you know, these politicians offer. I don't even know if I'm not even going to say it. I don't know what I can really say, what any of us can say that makes a damn bit of difference. I can tell you stuff like what we saw this week and just a couple weeks ago in Buffalo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just below the border. I love I'm friends with a lot of people that are on American shows. I've been guests on their podcasts. I love America and what we think it stands for. This stuff makes me not want to go. Why would I go down there?
Right.
I don't want to be in a Target.
No, I know.
With people with guns and have something like this happen. I went to 3 establishments before the show tonight, Clarkey, and I never felt unsafe. I don't know. I don't know, guys. We appreciate you watching the show. You can watch us Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut YouTube at 9 on our YouTube channel Friday nights. You can follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. Thanks again to our sponsors, Coolbet Canada, the Listowel Squash Courts, Listowel Vision Care, See the Game, and of course our friends at Hanover Raceway. Visit hanoverraceway.com for all the news on their events.
And I believe we're taking a week off Whiteman next week. So we won't have a new show on Whiteman next week, but
it will be on YouTube.
We'll have a YouTube show next week.
We'll have a YouTube and the podcast where you can find our podcast on all the best podcast apps. I don't know what else to say. We appreciate.
Hey, you know what? Let's just go watch Otani versus Vladdy.
Let's watch Otani
tonight. It's going to happen tonight. So it's starting in 2 minutes, I think. So let's just go and enjoy baseball.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching.